ahead and power on, or you want to take a 5-minute break? You want to just keep going?
Oh,
You get done?
okay,
Agenda item number 12, public comment period. Persons wishing to speak on items not on the agenda should complete a speaker's card and present it to the recording secretary. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. No action can be taken by the commission at this time. Any item requiring commission action may be scheduled on a future commission agenda. In addition to this public comment period, public comment limited to 3 minutes per speaker will also be allowed on each agenda action item, but not on reports and informational items unless otherwise noted on the agenda. Public comment.
I don't have any cards that say specific.
Okay. Any public comment? Come on up.
Yeah, for the record, John Carpenter. And you were having a discussion about the way the legislature done the population situation. The way that it works is that whatever the Census Bureau comes up for the population in every 10 years, why that's used by the legislature for another 10 years. They never change it. And so if it's 100, if they say it's 100,000, why then that over 100,000 applies only to Clark and Washoe County. If you ever want to get Elko or something into one of these regulations, then you have to go to the legislature and get that changed and say that a county less than 40,000 is also becomes effective to that county. That's the way it is. It's always been that way, and that's the way the situation is. So it's whatever that Census Bureau comes up with, whatever the population was at that. And so last year is 2010, or 2 years ago now, so that's what it's going to remain until 2020. And another item I'd like to discuss with you is you went out to Spruce Mountain yesterday. And Spruce Mountain for years and years was a sheep winter range. And so the sheep only used it in the wintertime. And then when Sorensen sold their sheep, they changed it to cattle. And about this same time is when the wild horse deal came in. And so the reason, and they only used it in the wintertime for their cattle. And then what happened is that the BLM couldn't control those horses, or for whatever reason they didn't keep it down to the AML. And even in that area, if it had been to AML, it would have been a very destructive out there on that range, because there's hardly no water out there. And so when the livestock were there, why they had to be pumping the wells and everything, because there's very, very little live water. So for Madeline Pickens to run her livestock out there is going to be most difficult, because if you keep them out there year round, you're going to have nothing but a huge halogeton patch. And in some way, if she could fence it and make them use the summer range, why she's going to have to get water out there, and then it's going to be a big effect on the wildlife, because right now there's a lot of wildlife using that winter range out there, and then there's some wildlife that stays there year round. So the county's been very involved in this situation, and I think she bought this ranch on the idea that she could just, change it to horses easily, but it's going to take a lot of work, and it should not be a horse range. And I think anybody that says it can be does not know what they're talking about, because you can't keep them horses out there year round. So that's a situation that the county is very looking at very carefully, because they think that it just won't work in that kind of an area. And those wild horses, I don't know, wild horses are very difficult to try to manage, because even now they're getting so that you can't gather them with helicopters. They get so smart that they start running back over you, and so it's a difficult situation. And Elko County hopes it does not happen, because it's going to ruin a huge area out there. And then if they do it there, why, you just don't know what's going to happen. Another thing I didn't see anything on the agenda about these items, so I'd like to get some information on them. And the first item is the Ruby Pipeline. As most of you know, there was over $8 million given to the department for sage hens and pygmy rabbits. And I'd like to get a accounting of that money, where it's been spent and how much is left and what's going on there. Because Elko County had more miles of pipeline than any county in Nevada. There's only 3 of us. There was Elko and Humboldt and Washoe. Some of that money is supposed to be spent in Elko County, so we'd kind of like to get those accounting of that money, is where it's been spent, and so if we could get that, why, I would appreciate it. Another thing that we're worried about up here is the pipeline that Southern Nevada Water Authority is thinking about constructing, because as you know, looks like the state engineer has given them those water rights, but as I understand it, why, there was a protest filed by the department, but then it was not followed up at the hearings and that. So what we're concerned about is what happens if that pipeline goes through, and it has a great effect on the wildlife, and especially wildlife as far as what you people are concerned about. But you know, I was raised in White Pine County, and I can pretty much tell you that you pump that kind of water out of that area, and it's you're going to create a huge dust bowl down there. So I'm just wondering what kind of where the department is at in regard to this, if that pipeline does go through, and the effects are disastrous as far as wildlife. You know, they bought most of the ranches in that valley, so they can probably dry them up because they're private property now. But out there on the range, I think we need to be looking at that. So I'd like to find out, you know, where we're really at there. Another thing is that we've been trying for a long time to get the information that was supposed to have been collected from the last doe hunt on the rubies. And we haven't been able to get that. And Wowsley was asked many times about it. We never been able to get it. I went up here one day talking to McAdoo, and he said, well, I'll get it for you. And I was sitting right there, and he brought something up on his computer screen and left the room. He came back, but I never did get it. So we'd like to know what kind of information was gained from that last doe hunt in the rubies, because as most of you know, why a lot of people here were
everybody's got it.
We're very opposed to this, the doe hunt that's going to be held this fall. So we'd like to know what kind of information was gained from that last hunt. And then we have some other things that we're going to be talking to you about tomorrow in regard to the sage grouse and predator control. So anyway, those are the things that I wanted to bring up to you. So thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment?
I will not prolong your meeting by standing up.
Okay, thank you. Then we will recess. We will recess until tomorrow morning at
8:30.
8:30 a.m.